Yo, what is going on, guys? Sekapoko here, bringing you another 7 Deadly Sins Grand Cross video. For this video, we're going to be going over some of the things in the half-year anniversary that you may have missed. Now, there are many different things that will be coming out during this half-year anniversary, and of course, a lot of them are incredible. With Lost Vein Meliodas, we have the release of the new Fraudrin, tons of different units that they'll be releasing throughout this event, and of course, many little hidden things that they may not have, fully explained that are not actually in the game yet. The first of which is one of the things that could be happening in the Evil Lilia event, and one of the things that you may have seen in the actual shop that is really interesting. And the next one that you're going to see, of course, is going to be right after this. It'll be the thing that's going to be coming out most likely next week, because this video is about part 1, and it is going to be the equipment salvage event. As you can see, they're showing lots of rewards on the screen, and one of the things they did not mention entirely is, of course, going to be the equipment salvage success rate increase. And this thing, of course, is not actually in the game, but everything else on this list actually is in the game. So just know that these things are things that are going to be in the game, and that's something that we just may have. So guys, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. So if you are new to Grand Cross, or if you have put that Grand Cross down for a long time and you're not exactly sure what a salvage event is, essentially the shortest version I can give you is a salvage event is the event where you actually go over to DN, and the rates for salvaging any type of equipment are going to be rated up, and you actually get more red stones and blue stones out of doing so. Oh my god, this is so many logins. Before the salvage event occurs, there is something that you need to do, of course, to prepare for that, and that is the never ending +5 spree. You'll notice that the gear that is in my equipment, almost half of it, probably not all of it, is already at +5 SSR. And if I go through a lot of the equipment that's on my account, yes, many of these pieces have the +5 modifier on it, many of them don't, and that means I still have some work to do. So make sure that you go through every single SSR piece, and if you are a newer player, yes, you can do SR pieces, which are the gold ones, in order to get yourself more blue stones and red stones when doing the salvage event. Do not actually salvage any pieces that are SSR until the salvage event occurs, and if you run out of box space, of course, the way you can do that, save box space, is by putting random equipment on your characters just to hold on to it. For example, if I go to my Millum right here, you can see that on her equipment, she just has a completely random set of SSR equipment that is just waiting to be +5 salvaged. Now, the next thing that's going to be happening, of course, is going to be something probably pertaining to, if we go over to the shop, the question mark unrevealed item. Now, this will have a drop item that, as you can see, the exchange material will be revealed in the next update. And the next update will probably be next week for the part 1 of this event. My guess is that this is an item that will actually increase the items in the shop, giving you more items that you can purchase out of the Evil Lilia event. As you can see, of course, there are 2 different characters that are not even in the game yet in the actual 7 catastrophes shop. And the 2 7 catastrophes, if you're not aware, this one right down here is mono, and this one is Easton, and this one is mono, both of which came around the exact same time as Lost Vein Meliodas. So the most likely banner that will be coming will be Lost Vein Meliodas for right after Lost Vein Meliodas for next week will be the mono and Easton banner. Now, this banner for both of these units, of course, will then add in extra cosmetics into this event, which will allow you to get more cosmetics that could be farmed in the event, and maybe potentially another Lilia cosmetic if you did not have it already, but many players do. And all of that is speculation. I have no idea what's in the actual box. It is just a guess. But the guess is based on a few different things. Things I did want to mention is Data Mine Asset, of course, is one of the Fraudrin cosmetics that is actually not in the game. This Fraudrin cosmetic is the Gym Teacher Fraudrin cosmetic, and that is synonymous with the Derriere Schoolgirl one, the Zeldris one, and a lot of these cosmetics cannot come out yet because, of course, we are missing Zeldris as well as Gloxinia for these cosmetics. When both of those characters do come to the game, we do have a higher chance of getting them, and I believe they should be coming in the game sometime within the next month or so. One of the assets that got added that no one actually is talking about, that is a very interesting asset where a lot of different pieces got added, is Bellion. Now, Bellion is actually a very, very interesting character to come to the game because he was supposed to come to the game before Lost Vein Meliodas, and the reason he would be very, very interesting to see is because he actually comes around with the movie story event on the that would happen on the Japanese version. It's the next story chapter that they would be adding, and since they haven't added any story mode in quite some time on the global version, my guess is that the story mode event that could be happening next would be the movie story event. And the movie story event, if you're not aware, it was a 2-part event. There was a part with a lot, and then a part that they actually had it in with Bellion. Because Bellion got added to the game files, I have to go sift through all of them, but I'm pretty sure a lot is already in the game files, and they just needed to add it later. So in a 2-part event, potentially we could be seeing a lot and Bellion coming to the game fairly recently. The other asset that got added, the last one I want to go over, is going to be the asset for Blue Fraudrin. And he's a character that did get added very recently to the game on the Japanese version, probably within the last few months. And Blue Fraudrin is a character that you actually can use at level 1, kind of very similarly to Blue SSR Liz, both of which are kind of semi-top tier currently on the Japanese version at very low values of level ups. So and they're both very, very good for the new 3 versus 3 game mode, which should be coming to global sometime within the next 3 to 4 months. And another reason one of the Leaky Pipe channel is extremely helpful is because we have a lot of assets that got added into the game, and many of them are not in yet. So one of the things, of course, we have the new Shin cosmetic that just came to the Japanese version. We ended up getting, I believe, the Easton cosmetics as well as the mono cosmetics that are, of course, in the game, that are in the game files already. So I'm assuming that these 2 cosmetics were the mono cosmetic at. It's down here somewhere. We have the Easton and Mono cosmetics that will be added at a later date. This one right here is the one you get from the Evil Lily event. So my assumption is, of course, that this will be the next thing. Okay. If you haven't seen it already, go ahead and check out my video regarding some of the speculation that we have for the banners that are going to be coming out over the next few weeks. I go over specific things, over what is actually going to be coming out, and I actually go over different units like Mono and Easton as well for the event, and I show there's some of the cosmetics as what that you can get in the event, and I go over some of the Valentine units that could have potentially been in the that'll be coming out in the next few weeks because of the new Hell Demons that will be coming out very soon. And of course, if you need a link to this video right here, somewhere on the screen, I don't know where to put it, but it'll be in the description below. Alrighty, let's go ahead and go over a Lot as a unit. Now, a Lot is a character that has a first skill that's going to be on Detonate. Detonate is going to detonate a 20% additional damage per ultimate gauge orb that the enemy has. Because she's increasing the damage that she deals per ultimate gauge orb, you can actually do a very large amount of damage on the skill, and it increases as the ultimate gauges increase. It goes from 160 up to 40 to 400. Now, a Lot's second ability is the main reason she is super useful. The first rank of this ability is going to be 180% attack against one enemy and decrease crit resistance and crit resistance and crit defense by 30%, then going to 40%, and finally 50% for 1 turn, and 2 turns respectively. It's going to do 180%, 270%, and 450% damage equally. Now, this is really, really good for increasing critical damage as well as critical strikes on guild. Now, a Lot's ultimate ability is going to be remove all debuffs on everybody on the entire team, as well as give everybody debuff immunity for 4 turns, as well as increase defense-related stats by 100%, going up to 150% for 4 turns. It increases by 10% per level. And the last thing here is the main, as I mentioned before. And the last thing, as I mentioned before, is of course the crit damage that you're going to be dealing to the bosses is going to be increased. But the thing that a Lot does is every skill that she uses is going to increase the critical damage of all your allies by 5%, limiting at 10, giving you a total of 50% extra crit damage on your entire team. Now, this character is insanely good as a supporting unit for Derriere for bosses like Guild Boss and max damage fights. Now, one of the big strategies, of course, on Guild Boss now is to go for a critical strike. You can see going from a 3.4 million crit right now on the Derriere. And the video, of course, I did earlier this month was going for what you can do with the JP strategy using a Lot. And you can see the damage gets boosted pretty heavily and starts ramping like crazy, actually, if you do it correctly. Link to both videos in the description below. Next up, we have Bellion, and Bellion is going to be an area effect damage card on the first ability, doing 120%, 180%, and finally 300% at max rank. It's going to inflict Shatter, which is the same ability as King's ultimate. If you didn't know, Blue King has the ultimate ability that actually will increase, go through all kinds of resistance values against enemies. So anytime who's stacking resistance, this would go straight through that. And the second ability for Bellion is going to be the same as Green Merlin's ultimate rollback. rollback and is the main reason he's super helpful. He's one of the few units in the game that actually has an ultimate mage rollback on a rank 1 skill, giving him the ability to go of 120%, 300%, and 450% damage against one enemy, while also rolling back ultimate gauge by 1, 1, and 3. It is a very, very good card for PvP and PvE. The ultimate ability for Bellion is just going to be a raw damage attack against all enemies. It's going to be very, very similar to Blue Deanne, Green Deanne, whatever Giant Deanne's ultimate, where you do large amounts of damage to all enemies, starting at 525% going up to 790%, giving you the highest modifier that you can have against enemies for one ultimate. And the passive ability for Bellion is going to increase, heal 30% of all diminished HP every time a debuff is removed from Bellion. So every time you cleanse on Bellion or whatever, Bellion will get a 30% missing HP boost. And with the boost to regeneration, this is actually a huge benefit. And it's actually extremely good in the 3 versus 3 game mode. Do you know what the boost for regeneration? Not sure about the boost for regeneration. Basically, every character in the game actually starts out at a very, very low regeneration value. But with the addition of Super Awakenings, many characters have received a very, very large bump to regeneration as Super Awakenings have come out. This right here is the symbol for the regeneration rate on a character in Japanese. I'm going to expand with Demon Invites. And if you go to any character in your boss, you can see a lot of them with Super Awakening are receiving a large amount of regeneration. The way regeneration rate works is it basically a missing HP heal. So whatever the lower HP you are, the more healing that you're going to get. It's not going to be the total amount of HP that you have in your entire kit. If you max out your regeneration, it would not full heal you unless you were able to boost a large amount of recovery rate and regeneration to near max. And that's very, very difficult to do. If I go to a character that does not have Super Awakening, let's say going to a lot and go to her regeneration stat, you can see hers is only at 13%, whereas many of the characters that I just clicked on, of course, will have a much higher regeneration rate, including like SR Arthur would even have a 40% regeneration rate. So many characters, because of this regeneration rate buff, are going to have the ability to heal after the turn in PvP. So if you get somebody extremely low and get them down to like 1% HP, this gets them to back up to a much higher value after that. Now, of course, I have mentioned the 3 versus 3 game mode, and the 3 versus 3 game mode is a mode that could be coming in the next 2 to maybe 3 months, maybe 4 months on the global version. And what happens on this version is you basically are able to take whatever you want into the fights and then just fight somebody very, very quickly. It's a daily mode that you have to completely do, but you can see many players are using Blue Fraudrin, and some do end up using Bellion, and I'll go over Blue Fraudrin in just a minute, so don't worry about that. All right, so let's go over Blue Fraudrin. It's really interesting that Blue Fraudrin has that AoE shatter ability that we just saw from Bellion, and it's going to do 180, of course, 270% attack, and then 450% attack, and ignore all resistance rate on enemies. What's really funny about this character, of course, is that his first ability does not matter at all, and it's just a damaging ability that you can do to enemies. Now, Blue Fraudrin's second ability is actually a lot more valuable to know about because it is going to be a reflect card. And the first rank of it is going to be a 60% reflect against enemies for 2 turns. The second ability is going to be a taunt as well as reflect damage by 60% for 2 turns. And if he does die, the reflect damage does not trigger. Just like if you killed somebody on a Goddess Elizabeth team, it would not trigger. And finally, the final rank of this is going to do taunt as well as reflect damage, 100% of damage taken for 2 turns. Now, this is really, really interesting for fights where Fraudrin takes a very large amount of AoE damage but then survives. Now, Blue Fraudrin has the exact same ultimate as the Green Fraudrin that just got brought to the game, but this character is a coin shop unit, so of course you can get his ultimate maxed out, for much cheaper than the Green Fraudrin if you were not going to be pulling. It's going to do 630% attack and go up to 945% attack and deplete ultimate gauge by 3. Passive ability for this character is the main reason that this character is so heavily used in the new 3v3 game mode. The passive ability of this character is when this hero dies, remove all debuffs from allies and fill ultimate gauge completely. For all allies. So you basically cleanse everybody and then give them full ultimate gauge on your next turn. So if you would lose all the cards in your team on a PvP fight, you're then going to get your ultimate up instantly. It's a very, very good character to bring to content if you do want to get max ultimate gauge instantly in PvP. Hence why mine is at level 1 because he will die faster. Now, of course, the Waifu Euston and the Waifu Mono are going to be coming to the game eventually. We just don't know when. Maybe they come next week, which would make the most amount of sense. Now, another thing that could be coming to the game that a lot of people have, speculated, because the 20 million download video got brought to the global version and is now no longer just on the Japanese version, is going to be the new Blue King. And the reason I don't think this is going to be happening is because the game files are way far away on this one. Now, I did make a video about the convergence theory of having global and JP merge and having the two versions be very, very close to each other as far as content releases. But what you may have not noticed, of course, in that video, I did say event content releases. I wasn't talking about raw content releases for everything in the game. I was talking about more events. And in this video, of course, we see the new Festival King come out, and the Festival King, of course, is one of the most OP units in the game. And because he got brought out in this video, many people were talking about him. I just wanted to let you go my thoughts on this, and I'm not really thinking that Festival King will be coming on this 20 million download event, because we just got Lost Fate and another Festival of Manor right away. It sounds toxic, so probably not. People would riot, so I think we're not getting that. No, that'll be foolish. All right, guys, my name's Sekapoko. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I just want to give you some tips and tricks of that's gonna be happening pretty soon, and some of the things that may be happening next week to give you some ideas of what to expect going forward. As far as should you pull on any of these banners and etc. If you're free to play, probably not, dude. Just say to Goddess Liz, you're fine. You just pulled your ass off. You're probably okay, dude. And if you're a whale, only if you really are looking, a lot is really only good if you're looking to do top scores on Guild Boss. She doesn't really see any play out of that. Bellion will only be good in 3v3 game mode, but he's available in part 2, so you don't need to pull for him. And Blue Fraudrin is a character that you can get out of the coin shop, so none of these characters are units that you need to pull for. So you can get them as much whenever you want, and it's really easy to get them. And because it's so easy to get these units, chill, bro, you're fine. You don't need to pull for any of them. It's great. You'll get them. They're kind of eventual units. I actually just got Bellion recently on JP, and I was like, oh yeah, cool, Bellion. I'm still not using him, but you can easily 6/6 these units with part 2 unit. They're part 2 units, so they're very easy to get.